Now we're talking about Labour and asking if it's out of touch with working people. In his speech yesterday, Nigel Farage claimed Reform has replaced Labour as the party of the working class. He also challenged Starmer to a head-to-head debate, specifically in a red wall working men's club, so they can test who really represents working people. Have a listen.
This Prime Minister has no connection with working people. No connection with what we used to call working class communities. He doesn't understand what it's like to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go out and work physically hard for the day. He doesn't seem to understand that the tax burden, the cost of living, energy bills have meant that people genuinely have had a lower standard of living quite consistently.
Yeah. Do you agree with Farage? Starmer's critics point to Labour increasing national insurance for businesses with its knock-on effect and going after farmers. The government says, though, that it's making real improvements to people's lives, like cutting interest rates and raising the minimum wage. Stella, does that ring true with you at all? Is he relatable if you're a working class person?
Young people and working people are literally being gaslit by Nigel Farage and the Reform Party. You have these property tycoons, these billionaires, who are telling us that they have our best interests at heart. Nigel Farage is a Thatcherite. When he was leader of the UKIP party, he was against scrapping the two-child benefit cap. Now that he sees that the vibe has shifted and the winds have changed, suddenly he's okay with it. He is whining and dining billionaires who used to fund the Conservative Party, and he wants them to start funding his party. And he's trying to convince us that somehow all of these billionaires are going to be investing into a party that's going to take care of the interests of the vast majority of working people.
Don't billionaires invest in Labour?
Labour, yes, billionaires do invest in Labour.
So what's the issue?
But the issue is that these are people who were investing in the Conservative Party. And the Conservative Party was a party which its cabinet was 2/3 privately educated. The Labour Party, our cabinet, is the vast majority, only 2 people went to fee-paying schools. The rest of them went to state schools.
I wondered, Albie, listening to that, if there are people in working class communities, and I'd love a definition of exactly what that is these days, who would look at that and feel patronised, because they would look at that and say a working men's club is not the environment most of us live in. Half of, 2/3, 3/4 of working men's clubs have shut down since 1950. That's not their environment.
It means pensioners.
He's just triggering. He is going back to a country that doesn't exist anymore, isn't he?
No, I don't think it's patronising at all. I don't think it's patronising at all. There are still working men's clubs, mostly in the red wall, which is actually where he's appealing to, where they're actually quite important and central to communities. I think of where my mum's family are, just outside of Oldham in Greater Manchester, a place called Mosley. There are lots of places around there where actually those traditional working men's clubs are still important parts of the community. And it's to those people who Nigel Farage is talking to. And I think it's interesting what Stella is saying about Nigel Farage trying to sort of say that, he's not really got the interests of the working class at heart. Well, they don't believe what you're saying. Because actually, if we look at the popularity of Nigel Farage with the red wall, he is absolutely tearing Labour a new one, and the Conservatives, by the way, in that part of the country.
Let me just run you very quickly through Starmer and Farage's backgrounds. The Prime Minister has previously said he grew up working class, and at times his parents struggled to pay the bills. He's referenced his mother's career in the NHS. And I don't know if he might have mentioned this once or twice. Did you know his father was a tool maker?
Working class. My dad was a tool maker. My dad, by contrast, was a tool maker. My dad was a tool maker. He worked in a factory. My dad was a tool maker. He worked in a factory. My dad was a tool maker. He worked in a factory.
I think point made. Meanwhile, Farage was educated at a prestigious private school, enjoyed a career in the city before going into politics. He's also had plenty of side jobs over the years, like filming personalised videos during lockdown. You may remember he recently made money by being a brand ambassador to a gold bullion dealer.
Generations of my family worked here in the City of London, including me, in the metals business. Now, behind me is the Bank of England. That's where our national gold reserves are held. But hey, you can hold gold too.
Oh yeah, you can. It's so relatable, isn't
And
he?
he made remember that he bet against the pound before the Brexit vote, and he made loads of money off of that.
Yeah. What is it about him? What we constantly come back to, Albie, is that Nigel Farage is someone you'd want to go for a pint with. And we see pictures of him with a pint. But here's the thing. I don't think anybody that I go for a pint with I'd trust to run the country.
Perhaps not. But I think the point is Nigel Farage, Boris Johnson, whoever it is, they have a way with connecting to people across the country, whether or not they are from a similar background to Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson or from more working class backgrounds. They're personable people. They're people who you remember. They're people who are charming, people who are charismatic. It doesn't matter what their class background is. It matters that people know who they are and that they are likeable. Whereas Keir Starmer doesn't come across as likeable. He doesn't come across as charismatic. He doesn't come across as charming. He just comes across as boring. And I think that is the crux of what we're talking about here. I think it's less about class, more about personality.
Shouldn't we just move away from personality? We had a lot of that during the Brexit debate, some of the characters involved there, big personalities. Isn't it time to look at policies and actually look at the policies that Labour has brought in and judge whether those really make sense for working class communities? Are you seeing, that former Labour advisor, we have to say, Stella, are you seeing policies there that do make sense to working class
The
communities?
IFS has said that the policy plans that Nigel Farage has announced would cost somewhere between 50 and 80 billion pounds. And now this is money that is not coming out of the pockets of the rich.
What about Labour's policies?
It is coming out of some of the richest. It is coming out of working people and people who depend on the state for public services, so that people who are earning more than £70,000 a year can have
But
tax
it
cuts.
wants to increase the personal allowance to 20,000.
I have a question.
That would help the lowest paid.
His treasurer, Nick Candy, a property tycoon, his startup fund has lost £100 million over the last 10 years that it has been in action. How are we supposed to trust someone like Nigel Farage, who has gone from party to party, as soon as his team doesn't seem to be following him exactly in the way that he wants, he just switches and starts something by himself? It is basically a one-man show. How can we trust that these people could lead a team into number 10 and run the government in the way that the extremely difficult circumstances require him to do?
I mean, in the polls, they are way ahead. They are way
No,
ahead of
they're
all
not
the other
actually.
parties.
Polling by YouGov.
29 to 26 is Reform to Labour at the moment.
Polling by YouGov, which was released this week, showed that compared to any of the other leaders from the mainstream parties, Nigel Farage is the least favourable to be Prime Minister.
Okay.
Whenever you compare him to any of the other leaders,
Looking
everybody
at the
prefers
party,
someone else.
29 to 22%, I think it said there, Reform to Labour. Let's take some calls. Christopher is in Lincolnshire. What do you think? Is Labour out of touch with working class people, Christopher?
I don't think Keir is, but Rachel Reeves says she's hitting the poorest people going.
I mean, they come as a package. That's the whole party. I mean, surely Rachel Reeves isn't acting autonomously. She's acting under her boss, who's Keir Starmer.
Probably, but who's Nigel Farage mouth about? Because he don't pay any taxes in Britain. He pays taxes in Belgium. He has to go European people, and he's married to a French politician.
OK, what could Labour be doing better for you and for the people in the community where you live, Christopher?
I would say more better on the national health and more for the pensioners and the unemployed.
OK, so we know that winter fuel allowance, they're U-turning on that. Is that something that makes sense where you are, that rings true?
Yeah, touch wood, I still get mine through a different way of doing it. But they're hitting the poorest people, and they're supposed to be supporting the oldest people and the youngest, not the rich people.
OK, let's take another call. Thank you, Christopher. Lloyd's in Conway. What do you reckon, Lloyd? Is Labour out of touch with you and the people where you live?
Oh, good morning. First of all, if the country was on a light, please switch it off. I run a small business in Manchester, and we supply small shops around the country. I have never seen a state where so many small companies are going bust. I'm currently have a small caravan in Wales where I am at the moment, and I would say that it's probably 50% down on people travelling. And when I'm speaking to the caravan owners and the site owners over here, because I also want to know what's going on, and they're basically saying that people cannot afford to do things. I'm not a politician. All I want to see from a government is a government to stand up and say, we will give you hope. We are strangled to death with taxes. As a small business, it is absolutely crucifying what they're doing to us.
OK, what do you put that down to? Is it the national insurance hike? Is that the critical factor? Because we could look at the cost of living crisis, which has affected people's pockets long before Labour were in power.
Yes, of course it's that. It's not just that. I think the country is depressed, and I think people are depressed, and people are scared, and they're scared to spend money. What I would like to see from a politician that, currently I can't say that I trust anybody, but Farage seems to be the guy that's like giving people that tiny bit of hope. Whether he puts us in a mess again, I've no idea. But I think as a country, we need hope and we need prosperity.
What is it about him, though, that gives you hope? Is it the private education or is it the selling gold bullion? Which one?
Listen,
what is it about the way he communicates with you, genuinely, I don't mean to be sarcastic, that gives you that hope?
I think when I look at him, when I listen to him, you get that just... It's the sense of actually liking somebody. I'm not saying he's great. I'm not saying he's perfect, and I don't know if he will make a mess. But as your co-pilot said there about Boris Johnson, there's that thing about looking at someone and listening and actually giving hope. And there's a reason for him actually polling as he is at the moment. That the only people that the government can get money from are working class people, and it's the working class people that need to be helped. And the small businesses. We don't all want to work for Amazon and all the big companies. Independent businesses are what thrive in the UK, and they're the ones that need help, and the people on the streets.
OK, thanks for your call, Lord. I'm going to take one more. Munsif's in Berkshire. What do you reckon, Munsif? Is Labour out of touch with what you need to live your life day to day?
Yeah, they are out of touch, and I like Farage because he's a nice guy, and he knows what he's talking about. And the thing is, he wants to the threshold at the moment, £12,500 is no good. He wants to bring it to 20,000, which is good.
Where's that money going to come from, Munsif? That money to cut us an extra £8,000 each on our tax threshold?
Well, I'm paying tax. I got two pension. I'm paying £200 tax every month. I worked at Heathrow Airport, and I used to pay £1,000 tax every month. But everybody's paying tax. But but you have to do your calculation. And when you come to gold, most of the Asian people, they buy gold for the simple reason gold goes up 100%. If you need the money, sell the gold.
We have to leave it there. Thank you for your call. Thanks for all your calls. We're going to have to move on.